Star Wars Celebration Europe. Coming to London, it is.
Visit celebrationeurope.com.
Welcome to the three of you. Now they have a very unenviable task before them because they have to decide who is going to win the costume pageant this afternoon. We have two age categories. We have the under 16s who will be coming out to the stage first, and then we have over 16s second, and they will be judged by our three judges. The classes they will be sorted into, we have the dark side, and then we have the light side, and of course then we have droids and something else which is not coming to me. Oh yes, creatures and droids. So we have three categories, so it should be a very entertaining show. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our first entry onto the stage. Are you ready, judges? You're all set over there, are you? Good. Well, good luck.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I have a message for you from the dark side. Happy Friday 13th. It ruined the hairstyle, but it was worth it. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, you probably realized we were slow on cueing tonight. When I said that line, thunder was supposed to happen, followed by lightning, and then the heavens were supposed to open. But clearly you can't get the stars. It's very good to be here. 30 years of Star Wars. When I was a little over 30, I got a telephone call from my agent who said George Lucas would like to see you and he'll send a car. I looked out of my window and the car had already arrived. That's how they do things on Star Wars. I got in the car, I went to Elstree, we had a very brief chat. I remember when I was leaving, going out of the door, George said, "Great nose." And I sort of felt I might be in with a chance. When I got home, the phone was ringing again. It was my agent who said, "You've got the part." And I said, "Well, that's great. What's the part?" And he said, "Oh, questions, questions." Anyway, he looked through his notes and he said, "It's something called the Emperor of the Universe." So I said, "Oh, well, I guess we'll be doing it then." And that's how it all started. And a few weeks later, I was in the makeup chair and the whole of my face disappeared, except for one feature. Yes, you've guessed it, the nose. And I was being very skillfully made up by a tremendous makeup artist. His name's Nick Dudman, and he's now in charge of makeup, prosthetics, creatures for Harry Potter. And most recently, of course, he made up Ralph Fiennes. And you will be very interested to know and notice that his Lord Voldemort has no nose. So clearly things have changed over the years, but not that much. When I first arrived on the Star Wars set, I had to be led on because they put in those yellow contact lenses. I had no idea where I was, I couldn't see where I was, and they led me to the top of this very long ramp staircase, which as we now know was the shuttle from which the Emperor made his appearance. And if you remember that very first moment when he appears, competition. Yes, that's the Death Star, I think, arriving to take me to dinner. They're a little early. Anyway, when I got to the top of those stairs, it was a little nerve-wracking because there was a lot of smoke and I couldn't see, and I was doing what most actors spend their lives doing, which is concentrating on not falling over. So if you ever watch that film again, and I know you will at least 100 times, be aware that the most evil creature in the universe was not thinking evil thoughts, he was thinking, please don't let me go arse over tit. I'm sorry if that's embarrassed any young people here. But when I managed to get to the bottom of the stairs, I met an active friend of mine. I didn't even know he was in the movie. His name's Michael Pennington. He's a very fine actor. He's playing Charles Dickens in Bath. At the moment, he got down on his knees to me, and then there was this very tall person with a black shiny helmet who was mumbling something unintelligible really, and breathing a lot. And then I heard the magic word cut, and they took my eyes out, almost literally. The optimist on Star Wars with the wonderful name Richard Glass, the Eye Man, took my eyes out, and I saw in front of me almost as many people as I'm seeing here this evening. It seemed like thousands, and in those days they weren't painted on, they were real. And amongst those stormtroopers were about 3 jeeps going up and down policing them. And the guys through megaphones were saying, "Stand up straight! Take your glasses off! Give me that camera!" And that's a side of Star Wars that I also recognize and which hasn't changed really very much. When I got the makeup off that first day, I was in the corridor and I bumped into another actor I knew very well, Sebastian Shaw, who many of you will know played one of the Darth Vaders. He's the one whose older face you see when the helmet comes up. And I said, "Hello Sebastian, very distinguished actor, we work together at the Royal Shakespeare Company. What are you doing here?" And he said, "I don't know. No one will tell me."
Star Wars Celebration Europe, live at Excel London on
But
July
I think
13th,
it's
14th
got
and
something
15th.
to do with
Enjoy
science
it.
fiction.
You will.
That took me back to when I was a kid, and I saw, well, when I was really allowed out of the house for the first time, to one of those Saturday matinees they used to have in those days. We'd go along on a Saturday morning, we'd sing a bit half-heartedly, we'd see a newsreel, we'd see a cartoon, usually Tom and Jerry. We liked that. We watched Tom beat the Sith out of Jerry every week. And then, I love a build-up. And then we saw the serial, which was either Superman or Batman or Flash Gordon. And I think probably around about that same time, because we are the same age, George Lucas was thinking thoughts via Flash Gordon towards the galaxy. It's a good memory, and it's one I think of quite a lot. I'm very pleased to be here to introduce this film this evening because it's the only one I'm not in, and I hate to be left out. That record is held, as I'm sure many of you know or will certainly be aware of over the next few days, by one of the Tin People, who will be nameless. Only joking. And the great thing about this movie, I should give it its full title, Episode 4, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Dope. I'm sorry I didn't switch spell check on before I got out here. That word just slipped out, I think because it looks a little bit from where I'm standing, rather like Glastonbury, without the mud. But there's still time. I think the last time I Leicester Square the night, yes, some of you are still here. And it was raining, you were there, you were valiant in the wet and the cold, as we went via the red carpet into the Odeon Leicester Square. But what you probably didn't see was we nipped out again fairly quickly because we wanted to go to another cinema on the other side of the square, rather comfortingly called the Empire, where a lot of fans had been sitting through all the movies and waiting for the big one that night, Revenge of the Sith. And we said hello, and then we stood at the back as that movie started. And it was a very, very exciting moment, because everybody went mad. They yelled, they screamed, they hissed. And George turned to me and said, "This is how I always hoped these movies had been seen." So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you have an opportunity to cheer and to hiss. So please cheer your heart out for the evil empire. And hiss Obi-Wan Kenobi and my good friend, young Anakin Skywalker, and of course the Tin People. Particularly the golden one, because he needs all the discouragement he can get. You wouldn't think it, me standing up here talking to you, but I'm quite shy and retiring. So I'm quite pleased that the Emperor in this movie is shy and retiring too, and that his representatives are Darth Vader and the great Peter Cushing. I was thinking the other day that all actors really hate to be typecast. That's really why we're shy and in the background. We do certain parts and suddenly we're well known. And we live in constant fear that nobody will think of us in any other way. So I've been trying to devise a t-shirt that I can wear when I meet agents. And I was put in mind of something that Harrison Ford rather famously said. You probably remember he was talking about George Lucas's dialogue and its relationship with bodily waste. And my version of that should be, you may be able to see this, Sith, you sure as hell can't type it. You would hear that spell check is still switched off. However, a miracle has happened. That flight has re-engaged spell check, so I can get it right. And now surrender to one of the greatest movies of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my satanic pleasure to reintroduce you to Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Take it away, boys.
No. That's a good night. Yeah, that is a good night if I can't remember my hotel room.
Star Wars Celebration Europe, live at Excel London on July 13th, 14th and 15th.
Enjoy it. You will.